Hello gorgeous, it's Jen. Welcome to my channel. Today I thought it would be fun to go over some of my 2021 favorites and find out, are they still favorites? Have I moved past them? How about an update? I have my notes here. In the brow category, I talked about the NYX Brow Gel. I'll have to post a picture because I no longer have that product. I loved it for a while, and then I think what was happening is I am a heavy-handed person. If you've been watching me for any amount of time, you know this, and my brows were just getting too dark, too full. It is a very pigmented brow gel that I would just flick on with a brush. I have found that brow pencils are working much better for me if I want a softer look to the brows. I have some favorite brow pencils that I use that are affordable. In the clear brow gel category, I talked about the NYX Brow Glue, and that one remains a favorite. I have a few that I rotate through, but I would say the top two that I go to are the e.l.f. Brow Lift, as well as the NYX Brow Gel. Now I know that NYX has just recently come out with a tinted version of this. If you are more of a tinted brow gel, I would imagine it is a good product. I am more of a clear brow gel kind of gal. This one is a little bit more expensive than the e.l.f. Brow Lift, but what I like about this one is it is good for the lazy person that doesn't want to dip a brush in, go through, bend the spoolie, and then clean off the spoolie. This is just a one shot. Go through, press them down, and you are done. So this is the ultimate lazy, best holding brow gel that I have used. That is what is in my eyes today. And then I, just in the interest of time, filled them in with my ShopMissa AOA brow pencil. In the eyeshadow primer category, I did list my Jason Wu eyeshadow primer as a tippy top favorite, and while I do still like it, it is not my most reached for. My most reached for eyeshadow primer is now the Ulta Beauty Matte Eyeshadow Primer. This one is just a little silkier, a little easier to move on the eye. It doesn't give the pigment or coverage that the Jason Wu does, but this will dry down to a matte. It is a fantastic, affordable product. Ulta Beauty products go on sale all of the time. I have backups of this at this point. In the face primer category, I talked about the Revlon Grip Matte Primer. I still have it, I still use it, but it is not a favorite. When I made that video, I'm still more of a high-end primer kind of gal, but I will tell you that I have been reaching for this new L'Oreal. This is their 24-hour matte setter primer again and again. I have had foundations that get very, very oily on me stay amazingly matte on my face. This is, I'm gonna say it, the best drugstore mattifying primer that I've ever tried. It does smooth my pores. It does have a fresh scent, but it's not overpowering. I've been reaching for this quite a lot. In that video, I also talked about the Jason Wu matte oil, and I said in the video that I'd had a love-hate relationship with it, but had finally learned to love it. Well, the hate came back. That was one that I always struggled with using. That one I still have. I need to declutter it. I haven't reached for it in a very, very long time. In the eyeshadow category, I talked about the ColourPop Quads. I am still a huge fan. In that video, did a look with the Head Capricorn in Charge palette. Beautiful palette. I also talked about the Essence 6 pans, still a huge favorite. I just recently did a look with the Bronzed This Way palette. And I also talked about, let's show Jason Wu a little bit of love, the Jason Wu palette. This is the Matte Agave palette. And I thought I'd throw a quick look together with this palette. I'm gonna go in with this deepest shade right here with my Zoeva 227. And I'm just going to focus on this outer corner and just press it in on both sides. I'm going to go in with my Zoeva 231, and I'm going to go in with one of the lighter shades and just go right over that to blend it out and then build up the inside just a little bit. And then this light matte shade I'm going to use to go over the edges. And I'm going to brighten up the inner corner a little bit with that. Go in with that same shade and just brighten that inner corner area. It's a pretty matte, neutral kind of look. And if you wanted to brighten that inner lid area, you could take your concealer and then put that lightest shade on, or you could take your highlight, which is my plan. I can go ahead and skip to the highlights right now. In the highlighter category, I talked about Wet n Wild, I talked about the Revlon, and they are still favorites. This Wet n Wild I'm So Lit in the loose formula, it's great. I'm going to put a little bit on my finger, and I'm going to put it right on the inner corner. I mean, look at that. Look at what it just did to that eye look. If you have an all matte palette and you want to add some shimmer, it's easy to do. I'm going to throw a little bit of this shade on the bottom lash line. A little bit of that darkest shade on the very outer corners. In the eyeliner category, I talked about my Essence Extreme Lasting. I also talked about BH. I am still absolutely in love with both of these liners. Just gonna throw a little bit on my waterline and a little bit on the outside edge and the bottom waterline. And then I'm going to take a little brush. This one is from Beauty Bay, and I'm just going to smudge that liner just to soften it a bit. In the bronzer category, I'm going to do a little reverse foundation technique today. I talked about the Soul Body bronzer. Love it, still love it. In my shop, my stash, I only had a little dent. It has a pretty big dent in it now, and it just remains to be a great bronzer, and ColourPop often has it on sale. I have mine in the shade medium. I like to stipple this on from the top of the ear down, and then just going around to take care of that forehead. I try not to go past the center of the eye. I'll come back to powder bronzer. In the cream blush category, I talked about the Milani cream blush. I still like it. I just don't love the packaging. Mine was recently decluttered. I also talked about this Pixie Louise and Rose palette. Great palette. Before I put that palette on, I'm going to add a little bit of highlight. Just using a Real Techniques brush. I went in so lightly with just what was in the cap. Now to this Louise and Rose. This can be used on your eyes, your cheeks, your lips. I love this palette. Great for travel if you want a quick look. So many options. This got me past my fear of using fingers to put the cream products on. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I think I'm going for a peachier kind of look today, so I'm going to go into this shade right here, and I'm just going to pat it in. And I'm kind of almost going over that highlight, and the highlight will still shine through. Go over. I like that. We may go in with more in a minute. Now I'm ready for concealer, and in the concealer category, I talked about my favorites being the e.l.f. Camo and the L'Oreal Infallible. I still have the L'Oreal. I have since decluttered the e.l.f. because I felt like it was just a little bit too drying. I don't know if my skin is changing as I get older, but it's not working as well. And I will admit that I am more of a high-end concealer kind of girl. However, one that I have been reaching for quite often is this one from Ulta. This is their full coverage concealer, and I have mine in the shade Fair Neutral. Now, with this underpainting technique, you start at the eyes, or at least I do. And this does go a long way. So a little bit here, here, around the nose. I start at my mouth about halfway and go up to the top of my ear, just to accent that bronzer or that contour. And then I have chin that sticks out, so I like to pull this area of my chin out a little bit. Also do the center of the face and then just start blending. This is my Haley's Beauty foundation brush. Very lightweight, which is my preference, good coverage. And then you go in with your foundation. And for foundations, what I'm no longer loving is the Kiko Milano Nothing Matter. It's just, I talked about in that video how it was a little bit thick and that I struggled with the thickness. The thickness has gotten to me. I am all about the medium to full coverage, very thin, lightweight foundations. I also talked about the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator, still an absolute favorite. And I talked about the Uoma Beauty by Sharon C. This is her Flawless IRL foundation. I have mine in the shade Fair Lady T6. And then what's nice about this underpainting technique is that you use very little foundation. It's really just to smooth over. You only need about a half a pump, and you can go over what you have, at least along the edges. I still have foundation on my hand, and it's just a much fresher, softer look. In the powder category, I talked about my Wet n Wild loose powder. Still love it. Just used it up, have not replaced it because I have so many powders. I also talked about the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and I was laughing watching the video because mine broke as I was filming that video, as I was bringing my stuff in, and I was so upset, and it was a whole debacle because it was so popular at the moment that I couldn't find the right shade. I had to buy the wrong shade, and then it didn't work, and I had to wait another week or two, and then I finally got the right shade. The shade that I prefer is light medium. And it's funny, I talked in that video about if anybody had an affordable puff recommendation because I was loving that one from Makeup Forever, and I did find one on Amazon from Nor8. I will make sure that I post a picture and have it linked. But this powder is lightweight. I can use it everywhere, and it seems to keep me matte and smooth. If you are new here, I of course will have all products linked in the description box below. In the powder bronzer category, I talked about my Juvia's Place. Love it. You will have just seen a video with me using, well, it's on my face in that video. You're seeing more eye stuff, but I wear the Juvia's Place all the time. I also talked about the Milani Silky Matte. It is a beautiful matte bronzer that I stand behind. I'm going to set that cream bronzer with this. I love the shade. Mine is in Sunkissed because it is a more neutral, leaning cool tone, which is my preference. I'm gonna add a little bit more blush into the look. And I think I'm gonna go into this one. I think that first shade just wasn't pigmented enough for my skin tone. Yeah, this one's showing up more. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of that. One finger to apply, the other finger to blend. For mascara, I talked about the Morphe Make It Big. I talked about Wet n Wild's Big Papa. Still great mascaras. I also talked about the Milani. I have a little baby that I got, I think in a Walmart beauty box. I'm gonna go ahead and curl my lashes and add some of this. Be right back. Love this mascara, and Milani is really killing it in the mascara category right now. In my drugstore favorites from 2021, I didn't mention a tubing mascara, most likely because the only one that I had discovered at that time was from Blink, and I still have it. I believe I have a backup. I love it, but I have found affordable options for you. I would recommend, if you have problems with your mascara running on the bottom or top and bottom, you can use a tubing mascara. I like to use tubing on the bottom, but I do know that there are lots of people that use it top and bottom. The Ulta Lash Flash is a tubing mascara that is wonderful, and also this brand new one from Milani, the highly rated Lash Extensions, is amazing. Love what it does for my bottom lashes. Good stuff. I'm gonna finish off the eyes with my white power pencil from BH. Lip liner, I am gonna give it to Morphe. I talked about in that video that I loved ColourPop, I loved Morphe, and I loved Flower Beauty. But this is $6. So inexpensive, so easy. Sweet Tea is my perfect shade. I just love it. I own multiples. If my natural lip color looks a little pinker than normal, it's because I filmed with this gloss on. This is the Ulta Plumped Up Pout Lip Gloss. I have mine in Strawberry Shortcake. This is a really good lip plumping gloss. The Maybelline Lifter Gloss remains to be my #1 drugstore lip gloss, and I stick by that. For lipstick, I mentioned a matte lip color from Revlon in Spice Cocoa that's getting more and more difficult to find. I didn't want to wear that one today, but I also mentioned the Milani Tease. This is their Color Fetish Matte. I love this lipstick. It's a perfect neutral brown. It glides on, it sets, it's not drying. I blot it after a few minutes and then it will not transfer. It is one that I reach for often. So I'm gonna go ahead and blot this and add that Ulta gloss. It does have a pretty strong tingle that does last a long time, but I enjoy it. It is not sticky whatsoever. For setting spray, the setting spray that I loved in my 2021 favorites was the Morphe Matte Aerosol Setting Spray. I have since fallen out of love with that setting spray only because of the nozzle. It would get clogged. I purchased them and it didn't work at all. I repurchased, and then towards the end it would start spraying really wonky. I know this is not drugstore, but my one size, same kind of deal aerosol, I never get a weird spray out of this, and this is my second or third bottle of it, so that one I love. The one that is my ultimate favorite drugstore right now is this one from Wet n Wild. This Fight Dirty. I enjoy it very much. It has taken over the place. If I'm looking for something matte, right now I'm going to the one size if I really, really want to stay matte. This one just makes my skin look really good. It makes everything look really smooth. I love the scent of it. I love the spritzer. I love the price. If you have a favorite matte setting spray that is drugstore priced, please comment below because I would love to try it. So this is the completed face. I hope that this was enjoyable for you. I love update videos. I love to find out when people have changed their minds, if they still love products that they loved a year ago. Make sure that you're subscribed before you leave. Give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. I upload Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Have a fabulous day.